So, I'm a guy who teaches people how to do raids, and today's video shows the collection of builds I use on my Titan for that. My solar build I use to be able to stay mobile while killing a lot of stuff. The arc build is basically for DPS, and the last one, the void one, is kind of my in-between. Has bubble for DPS, and it also has a lot of functionality for I declare. A lot of boom, a lot of detonations going off everywhere. So let's begin. In general, for my Titan, my priority is usually resilience and recovery for survivability, and either discipline or intellect as the last stat in the bottom half. Resilience gives resistance to enemy damage, and recovery allows you to get your health quicker after you've taken damage. Even if you're running a build that heals, recovery is always there as a backup plan, because you never know when you get into a situation that you're not prepared for and you don't have whatever you need to be able to heal. For discipline and intellect, it just matters what you'd prefer in that specific situation or for that encounter. Either you're choosing to throw more grenades during the encounter, or you're running intellect to be able to get your super more often, mostly for DPS phases. Let's get on with the first build. The first one is my solar build with MK44. I have a link to this guide for my infinite shoulder charge build in the top right corner, and a dim link is in the description as well. But on screen right now I have all the mods I use for each piece, and I'll explain why I use each mod in that specific slot. For helmet, we want finders so we can get more ammo for our heavy weapon during the encounters. We use the melee wall maker mod on this to be able to generate our wells for the build. Before I keep going with the description of why I put what where, I just wanted to talk about one thing real quick. On the solar subclass, there's one thing a lot of people don't mention. Whenever you have a solar kill, so either with your grenade or your melee ability, you get roaring flames with the build. You can use your melee even though there's no charge. If for any reason you lose your melee, if you have roaring flames, all your melees count as charged melee. So this still works with melee wall maker while you're waiting for your melee charge to top up. Moving on to the gauntlets, we might need multiple champion mods, so I use barrier and unstoppable mods with elemental charge to turn our wells into charge with light. For chest piece, we use a damage resist mod with reserves for our heavy weapon, and well of ordnance to turn our solar wells into grenade energy. For leg armor, we use heavy handed, which takes up most of the slots, but since we have finders already with reserves from the other pieces, we shouldn't be missing this too much. Class item, we use supercharge to store our melees for the build, and solar grenade overload so we have all the different champion mods covered. I love this build a lot because it allows me to stay mobile while I'm continuously getting kills, so I can help wherever is needed and watch to make sure everything is going the way that I want it to go. It's also a really fun build option, so with me continuously teaching people how to do stuff, it helps me to enjoy myself even when things get tough. The next build is an arc DPS build with Curious of the Fallen Star, and for this, first time I'm talking about this build on the channel. A lot of people use this exotic but don't really know what setup or mods to use with it. With Arc 3.0 probably coming out soon, this is probably going to change, and I'll hopefully make a new build to describe how I've changed this when that comes out. For the helmet, we use finders with elemental ordnance. Elemental ordnance basically allows us to make wells out of grenade kills. We're going to use these wells to increase our damage, but we'll talk about that further down. For the gauntlets, we have our champion mods with high energy fire, which increases weapon damage by 25% while you're charged with light. For the chest piece, we have our reserve mods again, and elemental charge to change our wells to charge with light. So we throw our grenade to make wells, we change our elemental wells to charge with light with this mod, and then we can use high energy fire to do more damage with our weapons. This obviously is going to be really good for every damage phase because this doesn't stack with well or bubble, so if you don't have a bubble or a well in the fire team, you're always going to have that increase in damage. For the legs, we have scabs and font of might, which also gives increased damage on our weapons, and with some chaser being extremely strong currently, having it do more damage is just OP, and this stacks with high energy fire, so you're basically able to get more arc weapon damage on top of the extra damage from charge with light. For class item, I use radiant lights, so when we use our super, the thunder crash, that's the whole reason why we're running this build. We're also going to be able to make all our teammates charge with light. So you know how I said if there's no well or a bubble available, you could still do extra damage. This allows you to do more damage and give your allies more DPS as well if they're running high energy fire. This is my go-to DPS build for Thunder Crash because it has insane burst DPS. I know everybody has the blade barrage idea, everybody has the grenade idea, but without any setup, you just put on the chest piece and you're doing insane damage instantly. So I love this build a lot. For the last build, this would be the Void build with Synthoceps. This build started my excitement to make builds because it was so much fun and I had never really paid attention to making builds. As a matter of fact, I always used all legendary pieces because I just didn't care for exotics at the time because I didn't feel like they made any big difference. But when I used this build for the first time and I just made the game so much easier for myself, I decided, you know what, I'll keep doing it and share with other people so you guys can get that aspect of Destiny that you might not have explored yet. Moving on to the build. For the helmet and the gauntlets of this build, we will run melee wellmaker with finders for the helmet and champion mods for the gauntlets. We're going crazy with melees in this build, so that's why we're using 2 melee wellmakers so that every time we do melee, we're making a bunch of wells. You can run Well of Tenacity to be more safe, but come on, let's just eat our crayons and keep it pushing. For chest piece, we use elemental charge with resist mods, and we also use reserves here for any weapon that we feel like we might need more ammo for. For legs, we use heavy handed to get our melee charge back quickly. If you don't know what it does, it gives you back half of your melee charge whenever your charge is light. So that's the setup for my Syntho Boom build that I released a while ago. My solar build also allows me to have a bunch of fun because I'm a Titan and you allow me to melee a bunch of times. You're basically making me very happy. This build allows me to also use a bubble to give a damage buff to my allies as well. So similar to what I do with Thunder Crash build, this allows me to do my own damage and support my allies as well. If you'd like me to make updated guides on the last 2 builds I spoke about in this video, let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you'd like to see a Warlock kit next, type !Warlock in the comments. If you'd like to see a Hunter one, !Hunter in the comments as well. So my people, that's it from me today. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on the new videos that I'll drop on the channel. I teach raids on Twitch 5 days a week, so if you're new to the game and you want to try out your first raid with people who are gonna take you in like family, go ahead and follow us on the Twitch channel as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.